welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized Environment and third-person blueprint course. In the last lesson, we left ourselves off with this material graph. We just simply created a material and went over the basics of the material graph itself. So now we're going to make use out of it and just set ourselves up with a nice skybox. We're going to simply drag the texture into the material itself, into the graph. We're then going to just simply drag and drop into the base color, or actually, sorry, I'm going to hit escape to cancel this. We need to first of all set ourselves up with a proper skybox material. So let's go ahead and select this. We're going to firstly change the shading model on the left hand side. We're going to change this into unlit, like so. Then within the search bar over here, we're going to search for a skybox. Skybox is sky, sorry, there you go. We're going to enable is sky, so this will basically tell the entire material that it's going to be set as a skybox, and essentially, as you can see here, it's not going to affect anything within it, but outside of it is going to essentially change the texture. So that's exactly what we want. We're going to add this to the emissive color, like so, and the final thing is going to be we're going to also make sure that this is set as two-sided material, like so. We're going to enable it, and we're going to see everything from two sides, exactly what we want with this type of a material. And we want to make sure it casts no shadow. So just in case, I will check shadow. Since it's set up as unlit model, it should not have anything, but just in case, I'll check that contact shadow, dynamic shadow, nothing like that is ticked on, so that's good. And yeah, I think that's all we're going to do for this one, because the reason being is we don't really need to do much else for this, as the default type of setup is going to look quite nicely. So we have ourselves a material. Now we just need a mesh to make use out of it, instead of just having these type of clouds in the background. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to unlock the locked level for persistent level. We're going to select this entire sphere, and we could change the material over here. But instead, what we're going to do is I'll just show you a simple way of doing it from scratch. So I will go ahead and select the sky sphere like so. We're also going to take off the volumetric clouds for this stylized type of a scene. It's not always best to use volumetric clouds, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete them like so. And we do have also skylight, which we're going to keep for now. Sky atmosphere we don't really need, so we're going to make sure we delete it. And yeah, let's just go ahead and start with the sky sphere itself. So yeah, as I said before, we could just go ahead and drag it into here, and that would add it like so. But as you can see, it's not quite the right setup as I hoped for. We could take off the rest of the items, but again, it's not really what we're looking for this particular setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off the sky sphere, which was behind it. Sky atmosphere, we don't really need it for this particular case. It gives us a nice like stratosphere type of a look. Again, we don't really need this for this particular case. We do have exponential height fog, which we're going to make use, and directional light, which is being used as a sun source, as well as the skylight, which gives us ambient occlusion. I'll show you what they do in a bit. But now though, we're just going to go ahead and create a simple shape, simple sphere, just like that. Click F to go into it, and simple bubble, just like that. Before we actually make use out of it, we need to make sure it's set up properly. So let's go ahead and within the search bar of this sphere, we're going to search for shadow. So that's going to make sure that we don't cast any shadow, just like that. And we don't receive any shadows either. We don't need anything of that sort. We're also going to look for collision, like so, and collision presets, we need no collision, nothing at all. So that's what we need. And now we can just drag the material onto the skybox, and this is what we're going to get. Everything outside of this sphere is going to be saying that it needs sky dome to be visible. But once you go inside of it, you'll see that it actually covers up the screen nicely. So now we just simply need to make this quite a bit larger. I'm going to go ahead and change the scale. I'm going to actually make the default scale, lock the scale itself, and I'm going to change this to something like 10,000, like so. go ahead and see how this looks like, and there you go. The reason we need to make the scale quite a bit larger is because when we're moving it around, we need to make sure that the position of the sphere does not change. So just like that, we're able to keep it like so. We could change the Z value maybe a little bit, so to 2000, like so. Actually, I'll change it up a little bit higher. Doesn't seem to want to do anything, just wondering why that is the case. And oh, sorry, it's because I'm changing all of the axis all at once. So let me just go ahead and change that. And that's not the type of area I wanted to change. I needed to change the location. So let me just go ahead and do that. I'll just change it by 1,000 upwards, maybe 10,000, something like that. Basically, we want to get this sort of a look. I could also try adding 0. That's a little bit too much. Let me go ahead and click Control Z and add 3. Something like this. We basically want to have this kind of a transition, although it's a little bit too much. So let me just go ahead and add it like so. So 3, 4, 5. Basically adding 5 zeros from here. Anyways, this looks quite nice for a sky. The only downside of using a sphere sky is that if you look upwards, is that there's some stretching over here. So at the very top, there's never a chance to add anything for this type of a sphere skybox. And there are alternatives to using sphere skyboxes, like using a cube map and whatnot. But in general, it's not too much of a deal. If you don't know it, it's really hard to notice, and you don't just usually look all the way up to the sky like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it in regards to that. We're just going to change the sphere name to Skybox, like so. Going to find the Skybox, wherever it is within here, like that. I'm actually going to go back inwards a little bit, like so. Okay, so with the Skybox selected, I'm going to right click and go to Move, and simply select the lighting folder. This way, it just moves everything into the lighting, the selection that we had over here. It's very convenient instead of just clicking and holding and dragging it into the folder like that. So there is that. We can now go ahead. I'm just going to quickly press play, see if it works. Everything is all right. And that seems to be doing it quite nicely. So yeah, it looks quite nicely overall. The only thing that we need to do is, of course, going to be that black void that we're seeing. And the reason being is that's going to be the exponential height fog. So by just taking it off, we can see the horizon, which is very nice, but the horizon itself is not going to look quite nice without it. So we're going to make sure we fix that up. We're going to select exponential height fog over here on the right hand side. We're going to go to its details, and first things first, we're going to change its fog density. So we're going to change it to 0.02, like so. We're going to make it much smaller overall. The fall off, if we were to change the fall off, it basically increases, decreases. If we were to click and hold, we can just see how it behaves. So there is that. We're going to change it to a value of 0.16. Going to give us a nice result. And finally, the reason that the sky, the fog itself is black, is because this color, this fog and scattering color, we need to go ahead and change it right away. And if we were to just simply drag it to white, it's going to give us this result. But since we just want to fake that kind of exotic look, we're just going to make it a little bit more orange, like so. We're going to increase the saturation and get something like this. And I'm just playing around with the colors a little bit, getting a little bit more to what I want. Something like this perhaps, maybe even brighter. Something like this. Quite nice. There you go. So this basically is going to have like a very nice horizon type of a yellow shade. I think it looks very cool to that. And yeah, we set ourselves up with a nice skybox. We got ourselves a nice height fog. It's going to give us a much nicer result overall. And a quick tip, you can also change the direction of the light, although there in this skybox there is no type of a, for example, like a sun or anything of the sort. We can go ahead and click Ctrl and L to control the light source, and just make sure that whenever you change the direction, you go left or right with your mouse. And if you want to change the angle, you'll need to go up and down, basically. That's the way the control is. There is a gizmo, as you can see over here in the middle section. Whenever you have your mouse over, you're able to kind of visualize it. But at first, honestly, it was a little confusing for me because it just complicates the way the controls are. But yeah, just remember to use left and right for direction and up and down for the angle. And just like that, we're able to set up a nice look for the environment. And yeah, going back to the skybox real quick, it's already set up for us nicely to be working with the skybox and whatnot. We just need to know that the skybox is there for like a nicer ambient occlusion. So if I were to disable it, you can see like there's no bounces coming from the sky itself on the shadows and whatnot, and so it just doesn't have that interaction with the lighting from the sky. And just applying this will give you nicer tone for the shadows, for the darker areas and whatnot. And yeah, that's pretty much it from this lesson. We got ourselves a nice skybox setup. Now we can finally start doing some modeling. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in a bit.